They say lawyers make terrible enemies because we document everything, know exactly how to weaponize the system, and have no problem playing the long game. My wife and my best friend forgot that for 18 months while they were sleeping together, and by the time they remembered, I'd already filed bar complaints in 2 states, with enough evidence to make their ethics violations look like RICO charges. If you've got some time, and maybe something strong to drink, settle in. This is going to take a while. Here's what you need to know up front. I'm a litigation attorney in Boston. For the last 11 years, I've made a very comfortable living tearing apart opposing counsel's arguments, finding the weak spots in their cases, and burying them under motions until they beg to settle. I'm good at it. Some people call me ruthless. I prefer thorough. At home, though, I thought I was different. The loving husband, the present father, the guy who left his work persona at the office. Turns out I was just compartmentalizing, and when my wife of 9 years decided to have an affair with my law school best friend, the godfather to my 7-year-old son, I stopped compartmentalizing. What followed was 6 weeks of the most methodical, calculated, and devastating revenge I've ever executed. 2 bar suspensions, 2 destroyed careers, 2 divorces, and one question I still can't fully answer: was it worth it? Let me start at the beginning, back when I still thought I had the perfect life. December 2023. Boston was in that weird pre-Christmas chaos where everyone's pretending to be festive while actually being stressed out of their minds. I was a senior litigation attorney at Brennan and Associates, a solid mid-size firm that punched above its weight. My wife, Kate, was a corporate attorney at Whitmore and Sterling, one of those old-money white-shoe firms where the founding partners' portraits glare at you from mahogany-paneled walls. We were the power couple, or at least that's what people said at bar association mixers. 2 attorneys, 1 kid, nice house in Brookline, couple of European vacations a year. The kind of life that looks great on paper. Kate and I met in 2014 at a legal conference in New York. She was brilliant, sharp as hell, and had this way of dismantling arguments that made me want to either debate her for hours or kiss her. We got married in 2015. Christopher came along in 2017. For the first few years, it was good. Really good. We understood each other's insane work schedules, could talk shop over dinner, had the same dark sense of humor about the legal profession. We were partners in the truest sense. But somewhere around 2022, things started shifting. Small things at first. Kate working later hours, more irritable at home, her phone always face down on the counter. We went from having sex 2 or 3 times a week to maybe once every 2 weeks, then once a month. When I asked if everything was okay, she'd say she was stressed about a big M&A deal. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? I was working 60-hour weeks myself. I understood the pressure. And then there was Andrew. Andrew Patterson and I met during our first week at Harvard Law in 2005. We were in the same section, ended up studying together through the bar exam, and became the kind of friends who finish each other's legal arguments. After graduation, we both ended up in Boston, me at Brennan, him at Caldwell Partners. Our firms competed sometimes, but we kept it friendly. When I married Kate, Andrew was my best man. His toast at the wedding was perfect. To Rob and Kate, my 2 favorite people in the world. May you always find loopholes in life's fine print. Everyone laughed. I remember thinking I was the luckiest guy alive. When Christopher was born in 2017, Andrew was at the hospital. He held my son when Christopher was maybe 2 hours old and said, "I promise to always protect him." We made him godfather. Our families were intertwined. Joint vacations to the Cape, Sunday dinners, kids' birthday parties. Andrew's wife Melissa was a kindergarten teacher, sweet woman who made elaborate birthday cakes and organized playdates. They had 2 daughters. We were supposed to be the kind of friends who grew old together, whose kids would be friends, who'd eventually retire and argue about Supreme Court decisions over whiskey. I thought Andrew was one of the few people in the world I could trust completely. Turns out I couldn't have been more wrong. The cracks started showing in ways I didn't recognize. November 2023, Andrew gave Christopher this elaborate Lego set for his 7th birthday. The kind that costs $300 and takes days to build. At the time, I thought it was generous. Looking back, I wonder if it was guilt. Kate started finding reasons to attend Caldwell Partners' social events. In early December, when both our firms had Christmas parties on the same Friday, Kate insisted on going to Andrew's firm's party instead of her own. She said her firm's parties were boring, that she wanted to network, that it would be good for her career to build relationships with attorneys at other firms. I thought it made sense. I stayed home with Christopher, who had a mild cold. I texted Kate at 10:30 p.m. "Have fun, love you." She replied at 10:47. "Love you too, leaving soon." She didn't get home until 2:35 a.m. When I asked about it, trying to keep my voice casual, not accusatory, she said traffic was terrible, and she went to a late dinner with some colleagues. I didn't push. I should have, but I was tired. And Christopher needed his inhaler refilled, and I had a deposition on Monday morning, so I let it go. 3 days before Christmas, I was in bed scrolling through case notes on my phone. Kate was asleep beside me, one arm thrown across my chest. Christopher's stocking was hung by the fireplace downstairs. Presents were wrapped and piled under the tree. We were supposed to host Andrew and Melissa and their daughters for Christmas dinner, a tradition we'd kept for 6 years. Everything felt normal. That's the thing about betrayal. It doesn't announce itself. It just sits there in your life, disguised as normalcy, until something rips the mask off. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Just said, "Thought you should know. I'm sorry," with a video attachment. I almost deleted it. Almost. Something made me click it instead. The video was 47 seconds long. Shaky camera, clearly filmed on a phone, probably by someone trying to be discreet. It showed a coat check room. I recognized the vintage wallpaper from photos I'd seen of Caldwell Partners' office building. And there, pressed against the wall, were Kate and Andrew. His hands were in her hair. Her hands were pulling at his belt. They were kissing like teenagers, desperate and hungry, and completely unaware they were being filmed. The timestamp on the video showed December 15th, 11:23 p.m. The same night Kate texted me she was leaving soon. I watched the video 3 times before my brain fully processed what I was seeing. Kate was still asleep next to me, breathing softly. Downstairs there was a framed photo on the mantel from last summer. Andrew, Melissa, Kate, me, and all our kids at the Cape. Everyone laughing, everyone happy, everyone lying. I sat there in the dark for 3 hours watching my wife sleep, and the only thought in my head was, I need evidence. Christmas morning, I woke up and made pancakes. Christopher came downstairs in his dinosaur pajamas and launched himself at the presents. Kate made coffee and smiled at me across the kitchen, and I smiled back. We opened presents. We FaceTimed with my parents. I acted completely normal. Years of maintaining a poker face in depositions paid off. Andrew and Melissa arrived at 2 p.m. with their daughters and a bottle of wine. Andrew hugged me, actually hugged me, and said, "Merry Christmas, brother." I hugged him back. We ate dinner. We watched Christopher and the girls play with their new toys. Kate laughed at Andrew's jokes, but I noticed she barely looked at him directly. They were being careful. Too careful. When you know what to look for, the absence of interaction is as loud as a confession. At one point, Christopher asked Andrew to help him build a new Lego set. I watched my best friend sit on my living room floor, helping my son, calling him Little Buddy while having slept with my wife less than 2 weeks earlier. Andrew looked up at one point and caught me staring. He smiled. I smiled back. Inside, I was already building the case. The day after Christmas, I started my investigation. First step, find out who sent the video. I ran a reverse phone lookup on the number, burner phone, untraceable, but the video had metadata. It was uploaded from an IP address that traced back to Caldwell Partners' office building. That narrowed it down. Someone at Andrew's firm sent it to me. Someone who knew, someone who wanted me to know. I created a fake LinkedIn profile, generic headshot, vague corporate background, and started reaching out to people who worked at Caldwell Partners. I messaged 6 paralegals and 2 junior associates with some bullshit about a case inquiry. Most ignored me. One responded. Sarah Chen, 28 years old, Andrew's paralegal for the past 3 years. She was cautious at first, but after some back and forth, she admitted it. I thought you should know. I'm sorry I didn't say something sooner. We met for coffee on December 28th. She was nervous, kept tearing her napkin into smaller and smaller pieces. I had a crush on him, she said quietly. Andrew. I know that's unprofessional, but I did. And then I realized he was seeing someone. I saw them together at the Christmas party. I didn't know it was your wife until I looked her up later. Someone needed to tell you. I couldn't watch him destroy your family and do nothing. I asked if she'd testify if it came to that. She said yes. That same afternoon, I called Thomas Grant, a private investigator I'd used on a dozen cases. Thomas is ex-FBI, late 50s, has seen everything twice. I told him I needed standard surveillance, GPS tracking, phone records through legal channels, photography. He asked if I was sure about this. Can't unring this bell, Rob, he said. The bell already rang, I told him. I just need documentation. He quoted me $8,500 for 3 weeks. I paid him the same day, December 29th. I did something I'm not proud of. Kate and I shared an iCloud account. I'd set it up years ago when we got new phones and she'd never changed the password. I logged in and downloaded 8 months of backups before she could delete anything. Then, I ran the data through forensic recovery software, the same kind we use in litigation to recover deleted emails and documents. It took 6 hours. When it finished, I had 847 deleted text messages between Kate and Andrew. I sat in my office and read them chronologically. Every single one. It's a special kind of torture, reading your wife's affair in real time. The first message was from June 2023, 6 months earlier. Andrew. Can't stop thinking about lunch yesterday. Kate. Me neither. This is crazy. We can't. But they did. July 10th, first hotel meeting, the Fairmont. August, they had their spot, room 817. September, Andrew texted, Melissa suspects nothing. Does Rob? Kate replied, Rob's oblivious, too busy with the Preston case. That word, oblivious, hit me harder than the rest of it. I'd been working 80-hour weeks on the Preston case, pulling all-nighters, missing Christopher's soccer games. And while I was doing that, my wife was calling me oblivious. October, Kate booked hotel rooms on nights she told me she had business trips. November, Andrew texted, When are you going to leave him? Kate, after Christopher's school year, need to time it right. She was planning to leave, to take my son from me half the time, to blow up his life without even preparing him. And Andrew, my best friend, Christopher's godfather, was helping her plan it. December 12th, 3 days before the party, Andrew sent, One last time before we slow down, Friday night. Kate, I'll tell Rob I'm networking. He won't question it. She was right. I didn't question it. I printed everything, organized it into 3 binders, cross-referenced the text timestamps with Kate's billable hours submissions, the timesheets she sent to clients showing what she charged them for. In 37 instances, Kate billed clients for document review or legal research during times when her phone's location data showed she was at the Fairmont Hotel with Andrew. That's not just an affair, that's fraud, billing fraud, the kind of thing that gets attorneys disbarred. On New Year's Eve, Kate wanted to go to a Times Square party some friends were having. I suggested we stay home, just the 3 of us. She agreed, probably because she felt guilty. We watched the ball drop on TV. At midnight, she kissed me. I kissed her back. Christopher hugged us both, and all I could think was, in court, I ruin people for a living. At home, I thought I left that person behind. Turns out, I just compartmentalized. By January 2nd, I had 6 months of text evidence, GPS data showing 23 hotel visits, documentation of $2,400 in fraudulent billing, and surveillance photos. I still hadn't said a word to Kate. Because here's what people don't understand about lawyers. We don't just win cases. We bury the opposition so deep they never practice again. And I was about to bury 2 people I once loved. The private investigator sent me his report on January 8th, 127 photos from 2 weeks of surveillance. Kate and Andrew meeting for lunch near the courthouse, accidentally, they'd claim. Entering the Fairmont together at 2:15 p.m. on January 4th. Exiting 2 hours later, Andrew's hand on Kate's lower back. Kate's car parked at the hotel on December 29th, while she told me she was working late at the office. And then, the one that broke something inside me. Andrew, kissing Kate's forehead in a parking garage. January 7th, 3:45 p.m. It was tender, affectionate, not just sex. They cared about each other. Somehow that made it worse. On January 9th, I arranged for Christopher to sleep at my parents' house. Told them Kate and I needed a date night. Then I printed out 3 pieces of evidence. The "When are you going to leave him?" text, the Fairmont photo from December 29th, and a spreadsheet documenting the billing fraud. 37 instances, $28,400 in fraudulent charges. Each line highlighted, cross-referenced with hotel records and text timestamps. Kate came home at 8:45 p.m. from work drinks. I was sitting at the dining room table, with everything laid out in front of me, like exhibits in a trial. She stopped in the doorway when she saw me. I watched the color drain from her face in real time. "Sit down, Kate," I said. My voice was calm. That's the thing about being a litigator. You learn to keep emotion out of your voice, even when you're being eviscerated inside. "We need to talk about the Fairmont Hotel." She froze, literally didn't move for 5 seconds. Then, "What are you talking about?" I slid the photo across the table. Her and Andrew, December 29th, entering the hotel. She stared at it. Her hands started shaking. "Rob, I can explain." "How long?" I asked. "And don't lie, I have all the texts." She collapsed into the chair, started crying, told me it started in June. 6 months. I already knew that, but hearing her say it out loud made it real in a different way. "I'm so sorry," she kept saying. "I'm so sorry, I was confused. I still love you. It was a mistake." "You billed clients $28,400 while you were fucking my best friend," I said. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't need to. "That's not a mistake. That's fraud." Her face went white again. "You can't tell anyone. Rob, please, you'd ruin my career." "No, Kate," I said. "You already did that." She tried everything. Begging, crying, promising to end it with Andrew, promising therapy, couples counseling, whatever I wanted. She swore it was over, that she'd made a terrible mistake, that she wanted to save our marriage. Then I asked the question I needed answered. "Are you in love with him?" Long pause, too long. "I don't know," she finally said. That answer, the uncertainty, was somehow worse than if she'd said yes. I stood up. "Where are you going?" she asked. "I need to think." "Rob, please, we can work through this." "You plan to leave after Christopher's school year," I said. "You were going to blow up his life without even preparing him. You called me oblivious while I was working 80-hour weeks. So no, Kate, we're not working through anything." I went upstairs, packed a bag, and left. She was still sitting at the dining table, crying. I didn't look back. I drove to my office. 11:47 p.m. The building was empty, except for the night security guard who knew me. I nodded at him, took the elevator to the 4th floor, unlocked my door, and sat down at my desk. Then I opened my laptop and started building the case that would end 2 legal careers. I spent 3 days essentially living in my office. Didn't go home, barely slept, just worked. I created the kind of comprehensive evidence file that makes judges' jaws drop. 6 tabs, each one meticulously organized. Tab 1, a fair timeline with every piece of corroborating evidence, texts, photos, hotel records, timeline analysis. Tab 2, billable hours fraud, 37 instances documented with side-by-side comparisons of Kate's timesheets and her actual location data. Tab 3, ethics violations for Kate, Rule 1.5, fraudulent billing, and Rule 8.4, conduct involving dishonesty, fraud, deceit. Tab 4, ethics violations for Andrew, Rule 8.4, conduct prejudicial to administration of justice, and Rule 1.7, potential conflict of interest. Tab 5, case conflicts. This was the nuclear weapon. I dug deeper into Kate's and Andrew's case histories. Turns out their firms opposed each other on 2 cases during the affair. Kate was defense counsel for Tech Venture Corp. Andrew was plaintiff counsel for DataStream LLC. Same case, June through September 2023. I found a text from July 12th where Andrew wrote, "Saw the brief you filed today. Smart move. See you tonight." That's opposing counsel, potentially sharing case strategy. That's not just an affair, that's a breach of professional duty to their clients. Tab 6, witness statements and supporting documentation. Sarah Chen's statement, PI reports, everything admissible and bulletproof. I made 4 complete copies, stored 1 in a safety deposit box, gave 1 to my senior partner, James Brennan, kept 1 for myself. The 4th would go to the Massachusetts Bar Association. On January 13th, I met with James privately. He's old school, been practicing for 30 years, seen everything. I laid out the evidence. He read through it in silence, then looked up at me. "Jesus Christ, Rob. Andrew? You're Andrew?" "My Andrew," I confirmed. "What are you going to do?" "File bar complaints. I need to know if the firm will back me." He was quiet for a long moment. "This could get messy, but you have my support." I reached out to Eric Vanderpool next. He's on the Bar Association Ethics Committee, and we'd worked opposite each other on a case years ago. Kept it hypothetical at first, just asking about the complaint process. He told me anonymous complaints rarely go anywhere, but named complaints with solid evidence get taken very seriously. On January 18th, I called Andrew, asked him to meet for coffee. He agreed immediately. "Sure, man, everything okay? Haven't heard from you in a bit." We met at a Starbucks near the courthouse. He showed up in a suit, probably coming from a deposition, smiled when he saw me, hugged me. I didn't hug back. "Kate told me everything," I said once we sat down. I watched his face change. The smile died. The color drained. He started to deny it. "Rob, I don't know what you're talking about," but I just stared at him. After 10 seconds, he stopped. "It was a mistake," he said quietly. "It's over. I swear it's over." "You're my son's godfather," I said. "You were at the hospital when he was born. You held him when he was 2 hours old and told me you'd always protect him." "Rob, I'm sorry. I never meant—" "Do you love her?" Long pause. The same pause Kate gave me. "I don't know. It's complicated." "It's not complicated," I said. I slid an envelope across the table. "You fucked my wife for 6 months. You're going to lose everything." He opened the envelope, read the summary page I'd prepared, just the highlights of what I had. His hands started shaking. "You can't file this," he said. "Please. My kids." "You should have thought about your kids," I said, "before you became godfather to mine and then betrayed me." I got up and walked out. He called after me. I didn't turn around. Kate called me the next day. Andrew must have told her about the meeting. "Rob, please don't do this," she begged. "We can work this out. Therapy, whatever you need.
Please don't file bar complaints. You asked Andrew if I suspected anything, I said. You called me oblivious. I was angry. I didn't mean. You plan to leave after Christopher's school year. You were going to blow up his life without preparing him, without even giving me warning. Just take him from me half the time. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I need you to understand something, I told her. In court, I ruin people for a living. I thought I left that person at the office. But you and Andrew brought him home. This isn't anger anymore. This is clarity. If you file complaints, you'll destroy us. No, Kate, you already did that. I hung up. For the next week, I drafted 2 comprehensive bar complaints. One against Catherine Mitchell, 15 pages with 47 exhibits. One against Andrew Patterson, 12 pages with 38 exhibits. Each one documented every ethics violation in excruciating detail. I included Sarah Chen's witness statement about Andrew's pattern of inappropriate behavior with female staff. I included the GPS data, the hotel records, the texts about case strategy that suggested possible collusion between opposing counsel. I included financial analysis showing exactly how much money Kate fraudulently billed to clients. I wrote a cover letter. I am the spouse who was betrayed in this matter, but more importantly, I am an officer of the court reporting ethics violations that undermine the integrity of our profession. James Brennan reviewed everything before I filed. He looked at me across his desk and said, "This is airtight, Rob. They're done. You know that, right? Once you file this, their careers are over." "I know. Are you sure you want to do this?" I thought about Kate texting that I was oblivious. I thought about Andrew asking if I suspected anything. I thought about them planning to take my son from me. I thought about $28,400 in fraudulent billing. I thought about, when are you going to leave him? I'm sure. On January 26th, I walked to the mailbox outside the courthouse at 4:47 p.m. 2 envelopes, both certified mail with return receipt requested. One to the Massachusetts Bar Association counsel for Catherine Ann Mitchell. One for Andrew James Patterson. I stood there for a moment, holding them. Last chance to turn back. Last chance to handle this privately. Then I remembered. In court, I ruin people for a living. At home, I thought I left that person behind. Turns out I just compartmentalized. Time to unify. I dropped both envelopes into the slot, watched them disappear. I'd spent 18 years building a reputation as someone who doesn't lose. Kate and Andrew were about to learn that in litigation, in law, in life. I don't fight fair. I fight to win, and I'd just filed the opening brief in a case they couldn't possibly win. The Bar Association confirmed receipt on February 1st. Meanwhile, I filed for divorce on February 8th. Standard petition. Dissolution of marriage. Full custody of Christopher, with reasonable visitation for Kate. Equitable division of marital assets. I had Kate served at her office by a process server on February 9th. Professional, public, humiliating. She called me crying. I didn't answer. 2 days later, everything started moving fast. Rebecca Sterling, the managing partner at Kate's firm, called Kate into her office. The Bar Association had sent a preliminary inquiry to Whitmore and Sterling regarding one of their attorneys. They were required to conduct an internal investigation. "Is this true?" Rebecca apparently asked her. "Did you bill clients during personal time?" Kate tried to deny it, then tried to minimize it, but I'd sent copies of everything to the firm too. Anonymously, through a lawyer I know in New York. By the end of the day, Kate was suspended from the firm, pending the outcome of the bar investigation. The same thing happened to Andrew. Caldwell Partners got their bar inquiry. Andrew was called into a senior partner meeting, forced to admit to the affair, to the potential case conflicts. By February 15th, he was on voluntary leave, which is industry speak for, "We're cutting ties but making it sound mutual." The legal community in Boston is small, incestuous, really. Everyone knows everyone. By February 18th, half the legal community knew something was happening. Sarah Chen posted something cryptic on her Instagram. Sometimes doing the right thing costs you everything, but staying silent costs your soul. Someone screenshot it and sent it to the legal gossip networks. The rumors started connecting. Andrew Patterson, Rob Mitchell, Kate Mitchell, affair, bar complaints. By the time the weekend ended, everyone knew. February 19th, Melissa, Andrew's wife, got a call from a bar investigator asking to interview her. That's how she found out. Not from Andrew confessing, from a stranger asking questions about her husband's affair. She kicked him out that night, called me the next day. "Rob, I'm so sorry," she said. She was crying. "I had no idea. I swear I had no idea." "I believe you," I told her. 6 months. He was sleeping with Kate for 6 months. He made me sit at your Christmas dinner. He played with Christopher while... She couldn't finish. "I know. I'm filing for divorce," she said. "I wanted you to know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." 2 days later, Andrew's mother called me. That one hurt. She'd been like a second mother to me in law school. Made me Thanksgiving dinner when I couldn't afford to fly home. Helped me study for the bar exam. "Rob," she said, her voice thick, "I'm so ashamed of my son. I don't know what to say except I'm sorry. If I could go back and raise him differently." "This isn't your fault," I told her. "He destroyed the most important friendship in his life. He destroyed your marriage. He destroyed his own family. I don't understand how he could do this." I didn't have an answer for her. On February 21st, Kate asked to meet. We met at a Starbucks, neutral territory. She looked terrible. Hadn't been sleeping, clearly. Dark circles under her eyes. She'd lost weight. "Please withdraw the complaint," she said. "Please, we can handle this privately." "You build clients for sex time with my best friend," I said. "That's not private. That's fraud." "What about Christopher?" Her voice broke. "You're destroying his family." "No," I said. "You did that. I'm just making sure there are consequences." She put her face in her hands and sobbed. People were staring. I didn't care. "I know I fucked up," she said through tears. "I know I did, but you're taking everything. My career, my reputation, my son." "You were planning to leave," I said, "to take Christopher from me half the time, to upend his entire life. Did you think about consequences then?" She didn't answer. "I have to go," I said, standing up. "Rob," she grabbed my wrist. "I loved you. I did. I don't know what happened." I looked at her hand on my wrist, then at her face. "I loved you too," I said, past tense. I pulled my arm away and left. The bar hearings were scheduled for March. Kate's on the 15th, Andrew's on the 22nd. I had to testify at both. Complainant testimony is critical in ethics cases. Kate's hearing was in a conference room at the Bar Association offices, 3-person panel. Kate's attorney tried every defense. It was a personal matter, shouldn't affect her license. The billing discrepancies were honest mistakes. She'd never done anything like this before. Then they asked me to present my evidence. I spent 45 minutes walking them through everything. The texts, the timeline, the GPS data cross-referenced with billable hours. The $28,400 in fraudulent billing across 37 separate instances spanning 6 months. One of the panel members, a woman in her 60s who'd been practicing since before I was born, looked at Kate's attorney and said, "You're arguing that 37 separate instances over 6 months is a mistake. That's not a mistake, counselor. That's a pattern of fraud." Kate took the stand, admitted to the affair, claimed the billing issues were oversights and errors in judgment. But when they asked her to explain how she accidentally billed a client for 3 hours of document review, while her phone's location data placed her at the Fairmont Hotel, she had no answer. The hearing ended. Decision pending. Andrew's hearing was worse. His attorney tried the same defense. Affair is between him and his wife, not bar business. Then I presented the case conflict evidence, the texts showing he and Kate discussed case strategy while representing opposing clients, the timeline of filings that suggested coordination. In July, I testified, Andrew texted Kate, "Saw the brief you filed today. Smart move." 2 days later, he filed a response that anticipated arguments Kate hadn't made publicly yet. Either he's psychic, or they were sharing privileged case information. Andrew's face went gray. His attorney objected. Speculation. But the panel wasn't buying it. They asked Andrew directly, "Did you discuss case strategy with Ms. Mitchell while representing opposing clients?" "No," he said. But he hesitated first. Just for a second. They saw it. The panel looked disgusted. These were attorneys who'd spent their careers upholding professional ethics. And here were 2 lawyers who'd betrayed their clients, their spouses, and their profession. April 5th, 4:01 p.m. I was in my office when the email came through. Bar Association decisions, both released simultaneously. Catherine Ann Mitchell, suspended for 2 years, must complete ethics training, probation period of 3 years following reinstatement. Andrew James Patterson, suspended for 18 months, must complete ethics training, probation period of 2 years following reinstatement. Both decisions were public record. Within an hour, legal news outlets picked it up. 2 Boston attorneys suspended for ethics violations amid affair scandal. The article didn't name me, but it didn't have to. Everyone already knew. Kate's firm terminated her partnership that day, sent a 1-paragraph email. 9 years of partnership gone. Andrew's firm did the same. Removed him from their website, sent a memo to clients about personnel changes. Kate called me that night. "Are you happy now?" she asked. Her voice was dead, flat. "No," I said honestly, "I'm not. I lost everything, my career, my income, my reputation. Was that what you wanted? I wanted you to face consequences for committing fraud." "I tried to kill myself last week," she said. The world stopped. "What?" "Pills, a lot of them. My neighbor found me. I'm okay, physically. But I wanted you to know. This is what your revenge did." She hung up. I sat in my office for 2 hours staring at nothing. Then I called my senior partner. "James, I think I went too far." "Rob," he said carefully. "She committed fraud. You reported it. She tried to kill herself." Long silence. "That's not on you, isn't it? I knew what the bar complaints would do to her career. I wanted that. Part of me wanted her to suffer the way I suffered." "Maybe," James said, "but she made choices. She had agency. You didn't force her to commit fraud. You didn't force her to have an affair. She did those things. You just held her accountable." "But I chose how," I said. "I could have just divorced her. I could have handled it quietly. But I went nuclear. I destroyed her career. I filed in a way that I knew would make it public. I wanted everyone to know what she did. And now she tried to kill herself." "What do you want me to tell you?" James asked. "I don't know." The next few months were the hardest of my life. Kate was hospitalized for a 72-hour psychiatric hold. I didn't visit, but I paid her hospital bills. Christopher kept asking why Mommy wasn't at pickup. I didn't know what to tell him. "Mommy's sick," I finally said. "She's getting help. She'll be okay." "Are you and Mommy getting divorced?" he asked. He was 7, too young to have to ask that question. "Yeah, buddy, we are. Is it my fault?" "No," I pulled him onto my lap. "No, this is not your fault. Not even a little bit. Mommy and Daddy both love you so much, that will never change. But sometimes adults make mistakes and hurt each other, and when that happens, they can't stay married. But we'll both always be your parents. Always." He cried. I cried. We sat on the couch for an hour, just holding each other. I started seeing a therapist in May. First session, she asked me why I was there. "I destroyed my wife's career to punish her for having an affair," I said. And she tried to kill herself, and I don't know if I'm the victim or the villain anymore. Can't you be both? The therapist asked. That question broke something open in me. Over the next few months, I had to watch the fallout spread like radiation. Kate lost her partnership, was making $30 an hour doing document review at a legal temp agency. She'd gone from $280,000 a year to poverty wages. She lost most of her friends, our friends really. The legal community had largely sided with me or distanced themselves from the whole mess. Her family blamed me. Her sister called me a monster. Andrew fared no better. Melissa divorced him fast. He lost the custody battle, supervised visitation only because the judge cited moral character concerns. He was working at some legal tech startup doing compliance work. I heard through mutual friends that he was drinking heavily. In late May, Andrew sent me an email. Rob, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I destroyed the most important friendship of my life. I destroyed your marriage. I destroyed my own family. You were right to report me to the bar. I committed ethics violations. I betrayed my professional duty. I betrayed you. I just want you to know. I'm sorry, and I miss my friend. I know that's pathetic, but I do. I think about law school, about studying for the bar together, about your wedding, about holding Christopher when he was born, and I hate myself for destroying all of that. You don't have to respond, I just needed to say it. Andrew. I read that email 10 times, never replied. By June, I'd lost friends too. Some people thought I went too far. You could have just divorced her quietly, someone said at a bar association event. Bar complaints were excessive. Others defended me. She committed fraud. What was he supposed to do? But even the support felt hollow, because deep down I knew they weren't wrong. I could have handled it differently. My social life shrank to work, Christopher, gym, and therapy. The couple friends from when Kate and I were married, gone. Most of them didn't want to pick sides, so they picked neither. I was alone more than I'd ever been. One night in mid-June, Christopher was at Kate's, and I was sitting in my apartment. I'd moved out of the family house as part of the divorce settlement, surrounded by takeout containers and case files, and I thought, in court I ruin people for a living. At home, I thought I left that person behind. Turns out I just compartmentalized, and now I can't remember how to be anything else. In July, I got an unexpected message. Sarah Chen, the paralegal who'd sent me the video, asked to meet for coffee. We met at the same Starbucks where I'd confronted Andrew. I heard people are blaming you, she said, saying you went too far. Maybe I did, I said. I filed a bar complaint too, she said quietly. Against Andrew. I looked up, surprised. What? For harassment. He made advances toward me, multiple times over 2 years. I reported it to HR. They buried it. When I found out about him and Kate, I realized, he's a pattern. You stopped him. I didn't know what to say. You didn't go too far, Sarah continued. You held someone accountable. That's not revenge, that's justice. Felt like revenge to me, I said. Maybe it was both, she said. But Andrew was doing this to other people, making women at work uncomfortable, using his position. I was too scared to report him until I saw what you did. You gave me courage. After she left, I sat there for a long time. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt tired. Late July, I ran into Eric Vanderpool, the bar ethics committee member, at a bar near the courthouse. We ended up talking for 2 hours. Do you regret it? He asked me. I don't know, I admitted. I wanted them to face consequences. They did. But my son is in therapy. My ex-wife tried to kill herself. I lost friends. I'm not sure I want anything except the right to say, I told you so. You did your duty as an officer of the court, Eric said. You reported fraud. That's not vindictive. It felt vindictive because it was personal, he said. But personal doesn't mean wrong. She committed fraud. He helped cover it. You had evidence. You reported it. That's the system working. Then why do I feel like shit? Because you're human, he said. And because revenge, even justified revenge, has a cost. You're paying it now. He was right. I was paying it. In therapy sessions where I tried to untangle why I felt simultaneously justified and guilty. In sleepless nights where I replayed every decision. In Christopher's questions about why Uncle Drew didn't come over anymore. I realized something that night. Winning and healing are not the same thing. I'd won. I'd gotten my revenge. I'd held them accountable, but I hadn't healed. I'd just transferred my pain into a different form. One that hurt everyone, including me. But slowly, things started to change. In August, I made a decision. I needed to actively rebuild my life. I joined a divorce support group, started saying yes to social invitations. Took Christopher camping, just the two of us. First time ever. "Dad, are you sad?" Christopher asked me one night by the campfire. "Sometimes, buddy, but I'm getting better." "Me too," he said. In September, I reconnected with friends from college who weren't lawyers. Started playing basketball again, something I'd loved in law school but abandoned for work. Small moments of normalcy, pizza with buddies, watching games, not talking about cases or ethics violations or revenge. Just living. Christopher's therapist told me he was doing much better. "Kids are resilient," she said. "He's adjusting to the new normal." Kate and I established a functional co-parenting arrangement. Polite texts about scheduling. Brief conversations at drop-offs. We both attended Christopher's school events. Separately, but civilly. It wasn't friendship, but it wasn't war anymore either. In October, I met someone. Rebecca. She was a teacher, completely outside the legal world. We met at a coffee shop when I was working on a brief. She asked if the seat next to me was taken. We ended up talking for 2 hours. She had no idea who I was, didn't know about the scandal. For the first time in months, I felt like myself. We started dating casually. I was honest about the divorce, the mess, the baggage. She listened without judgment. "Everyone has a past," she said. "Question is what you do with it." In November, Kate asked to meet. We went to our neutral Starbucks. She looked better, healthier. She told me she'd been sober 4 months, was in intensive therapy. "I don't expect forgiveness," she said, "but I need to say I'm sorry for all of it. The affair, the fraud, the lies, blowing up Christopher's life, all of it. I'm sorry too," I said, "for some of it. The bar complaints were justified, but I knew what they'd do to you. Part of me wanted that, wanted you to suffer. I deserved consequences," she said. "I committed fraud. I blew up our marriage. I hurt Christopher. The bar suspension was appropriate. You tried to kill yourself. That." I paused. "I didn't want that." "I know," she said. "That wasn't on you. That was me hitting bottom. I needed to hit bottom to start climbing back up." We sat in silence for a moment, shared grief for what we'd lost. Not reconciliation, but closure. "You're a good father," Kate said. "I see how much Christopher loves you, how stable you've made things for him." "You're a good mom," I said, "even when you weren't a good wife." "Fair," she said. She almost smiled. We finished our coffee and went our separate ways. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something. By December, 1 year after everything fell apart, I'd signed a lease on a better apartment. Created a real home for Christopher, with his own room, decorations he picked out, stability. Christopher was thriving. His grades were up. He had friends. He was happy. I realized we were going to be okay. On Christmas Eve 2024, Christopher was at Kate's per our custody schedule. I was alone in my apartment, and for the first time in a year, that felt okay. I opened my laptop and started writing something I'd never send. Just needed to get the thoughts out. People asked me if it was worth it. If destroying my wife's career and my best friend's career was worth it. Here's the truth, I don't know. They committed fraud. They betrayed me. They deserved consequences. But consequences came with costs. For them, for my son, for me. Kate tried to kill herself. Andrew lost his family. I lost friends. Christopher lost his family structure. Was that justice? Was that revenge? The answer is both and neither. What I know now, a year later. Revenge doesn't heal you. It satisfies you for about 24 hours, then you're left with the same pain, just in a different form. I don't regret reporting them. They broke the law, they broke their oaths, they needed to face consequences. But I do regret how much of myself I lost in the process. In court, I ruined people for a living. I thought I could keep that person separate from who I was at home. Turns out you can't. The person you are in crisis is the person you always were, just stripped down to essentials. I was ruthless, I was methodical, I was unforgiving, and I'll have to live with that. But here's the thing, I'm also still here. So is Christopher, so is Kate, even after hitting bottom. So is Andrew, somewhere in New Hampshire, trying to rebuild. We're all still here, and that means there's still time to become better versions of who we were. I hope they find peace. I hope I find peace. I hope Christopher grows up understanding that people are complicated, that you can be both victim and villain, that you can seek justice and still go too far, that you can win and still lose. Mostly, I hope he grows up knowing that when the people you love betray you, you have choices. You can forgive. You can seek revenge. You can pursue justice. You can walk away. I chose revenge disguised as justice. It worked, but I paid for it in ways I didn't expect. Was it worth it? Ask me in another year. Right now, I'm just trying to figure out how to be a good father, a good partner, a good person, without keeping all those pieces separated. Integration, my therapist calls it. I call it learning to live with myself. And some days that's harder than any case I've ever tried. I closed the laptop. My phone buzzed. Rebecca. Thinking of you. I know today is hard. Tomorrow is Christmas. Come have breakfast with me. No pressure. I smiled. Typed back. I'd like that. I looked at the photo of Christopher on my desk. Him laughing at the beach last summer. Gap-toothed grin. Completely happy. Then I turned off the lights and walked out into the Boston winter night. I don't know if I did the right thing, but I know I did the human thing. And in the end, that's all any of us can do. Make choices, face consequences, and try to build something better from the wreckage. I'm still building, but at least now I'm building something real.